Welcome to Security Weekly. I am your host, Matt Alderman. We are recording live from Black Hat 2019. We're in the suite in Mandalay Bay. And joining me for this interview is Ameya Talwalker. He's the co-founder and chief product officer from Cequence with a C Security.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, it's awesome. I think we've had you on. I think we've had Cequence on before.
A few months ago.
Yeah, I think so.
It was
yeah,
late last year, I think.
Yeah, it was. I think we were talking specifically around the bot side,
Bot side.
bot defense. We're going to talk a little more about application security, one of my favorite topics. I always like to preface, the audience knows this by now, is I'm a believer that there's three things that matter when we're done with digital transformation: app, user, and data.
Yep.
Right? So I love the application security topic extremely well. Let's start with the problem statement. The title, the topic that came across is, why the hell is application security broken? Why the hell is application security broken?
So it is a little bit of a bold statement, but I think this is based on past experience. We've been working with large enterprises for 5+ years now, protecting their applications from various kinds of attacks. And we've seen a few trends emerge, right? Which is the way enterprises are building their applications, deploying their applications, where they are being deployed. It's all changing very fast, very rapidly. The attackers on the other side, which want to attack these applications, are also evolving very fast. Their infrastructure, their tools, easy access to credentials and other materials that they need is getting easier and easier. So on the two sides, you have the applications and the enterprises are changing very rapidly.
Right.
The attackers are also changing very rapidly. And the security tools that sit in the middle are sort of, progressing very slowly. So they haven't kept up with changes on either sides. And that's why we think that application security is broken.
Yeah, and I tend to agree, right? I think there is a lack of integration of security tools and capabilities embedded into the development process or the DevOps process. We talk a lot about DevSecOps, but I don't think that a lot of us actually understand what DevSecOps actually means and what it takes to get there. So I'm a big believer. You have to definitely look at integration. And if we think about the traditional application security tools, they're always kind of at the end of a process, right? I do a static analysis, I do a dynamic analysis. They're always kind of after the fact. And I think the other challenge is speed, frequency, right? I mean, you can change an app daily or multiple times a day now.
Yep.
We're not used to doing stuff that fast.
Very true. And I think we see that in several of our customer environments. Like we have a customer that updates their web, mobile, and API apps once a week.
Yeah.
If sometimes twice a week.
Yeah.
And if you are forcing security to be embedded inside the application, that's going to slow down your DevOps. So the whole notion about DevSecOps should be as fast as DevOps just goes away once you force anything inside the application for its security.
Got it. So let's talk a little bit about Cequence, because you've got your application security platform. You have different components that sit on there, right? You have the bot defense capability, the firewall capability. We're going to get into that. You also have your kind of core engine as well. So let's talk about the Cequence solution, the platform.
Right.
Kind of give us an overview of what's all there.
Right. So Cequence has built a platform called Cequence Application Security Platform, CQASP, that gets deployed completely in our customer's environment.
Okay.
Right. So first of all, it's not a SaaS service. It's not a appliance that we deploy. All of this is completely deployed through containers that are, living in our customer environment.
Okay.
Right. We are not taking data out to do an offline inspection and analysis that takes a while, and there is an offline, off-the-band communication. All of our solution, the Cequence ASP platform, gets deployed in the customer environment, whatever that environment may be. So we have deployed our solution in physical data centers. We've deployed it in cloud environments. But most commonly, what we find, and this is one of the things that I mentioned when I said the enterprises are changing, a lot of enterprises are still in their hybrid state, which is some applications are running in my physical data center, some are running in the cloud, and I need to secure all of them.
Right.
I need a solution that can secure all of them.
So in that particular case, are you deployed in both of those environments,
Right.
on-prem and in the cloud?
Right. Yes. So parts of our solutions, which we call as sensors and enforcers or mitigation, sit very close to the application. The CQ AI engine, which is really the brains of the system,
Yep.
can sit either on-prem or in the cloud,
Okay.
as long as it's connected to all these sensors
Right.
and enforcers right close to the application. So the way we look at it is the platform has the analytics engine, the CQI engine. It has connectors to other enterprise security solutions like
Yep.
a SIM system or a fraud system,
Yep.
or we enforce things through a WAF or an IDS and IPS.
Right. Right.
So all of that is sitting in the environment away from the apps, or almost parallel to the applications. And then we have sensors which sense the data from sitting in front of the application.
Okay.
And we have enforcement modules that will either block, slow down these attacks, or we have even capabilities to deceive the attackers with what we call as honey trap, which lies back to the attackers and
Right.
makes them believe that they are getting successful.
So platform deployed, it's got the core
Yep.
CQAI engine in it. Then bot defense and then the firewall are actually the sensors, right?
Correct.
The sensors and the enforcers.
Enforcers, yeah.
Okay.
Right. And that's one of the problems we are solving, which is you have too many point products that are trying to solve a single problem for customers,
Which is application security.
which is application security, right? You have your bot mitigation solutions, you have your web application firewalls. Maybe now you have a new product that is only solving API security. So it's hard for security operators or professionals to manage all these solutions. So what we have built is a single pass architecture where we just look at a transaction once and look at it from multiple problem point of,
Perspectives,
right?
yeah,
Whether
okay.
it's a application security problem using OWASP or other type of syntactic problems, or is it causing a automated threat, which is bot attacks, right? So our goal is to provide a single platform that is solving multiple problems for the entire application tier, wherever that tier is.
So are your sensor and enforcers multifunctional? So
Yes, they are. Yes, they are.
the sensor's grabbing the data.
Yeah.
And then you're looking for bot traffic in that. You're looking for potential any firewall rules around
Correct.
your web app firewall. Are you also doing things like API security?
Yes.
And so all that
All of
is
that.
all that's collect through that sensor. I can
Correct.
look across all
Yeah.
those different
The
domains.
CQ AI engine is what's looking at each transaction from a different point of view.
Okay.
Right, the sensors is just grabbing the sensing the data.
Yep.
Right, and the CQ AI engine forces or enforces whatever policy action the customer wants to
Right.
enforce for a given type of threat
Yep. And so then policies are written out of
on the platform,
on the back
on the
platform.
Yeah,
Leveraging data from the
CQ
AI
engine,
engine.
yeah.
And then the enforcers are there to enforce those policies out in the application.
Right. And sometimes the enforcers are not required. We have customers who are taking our data and signaling their fraud systems. Right. We have customers that are taking our data and sending data to their accounts team. Let's say we are solving a problem of fake account creation,
Right.
which is very
Okay.
common in social
Right.
networks and whatnot.
So you're not enforcing anything.
You
You're
don't have
using
to.
more as just a detection
Correct.
capability
Right.
to other teams. Say, look, this looks odd. Somebody's creating accounts or something like that.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right. And therefore, deploying the enforcement piece is completely optional.
Yeah.
Right. We believe, especially with the honey trap, we have a unique way of stopping some of these threats. If you keep blocking, automated threats like bot attacks, the attackers keep evolving and they'll keep coming back at you with different techniques and different networks and things like that. So therefore, the honey trap that we have is very effective in gaming the system or gaming the attackers and making them think that they're successful, while you protect the applications from.
So you have some deception capabilities
Yes,
built
yeah.
into the platform as
yeah,
well, right?
Yeah.
So if you think about it, you're using the trap to actually deceive
Correct.
the attacker.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and probably collecting a lot more intelligence about the attacks
Absolutely.
that you can now use to potentially thwart other types of attacks, right?
Exactly.
Okay. So I want to get into the AI engine a little bit, right? Because when everybody hears AI or ML, they cringe for a second. They're like, "Oh, here's another one." let's talk a little bit about what that engine's doing.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get to some interesting kind of hardcore examples because I think it'll help people understand
Mm-hmm.
what does that engine actually do?
Right.
How does it work?
So our AI engine works at multiple layers. So we are looking at application security, but we start looking at every request from its TCP/IP signal,
Hmm.
looking at the SSL signal, we're looking at the application headers, and we also go all the way to the user layer and analyze, right? So therefore, there are different AI models that are working at different layers
Yep.
in our AI engine. Just to give an example, when a login request comes in for coming with the user agents that says this is a request from Chrome browser 65 running on Mac OS 10.5, right? Our AI engine actually validates that it is really what it claims to be,
Oh, okay.
right? And
Yep.
it does that by analyzing signal at each of these layers, right? Therefore, we can say this is probably coming from a toolkit that is faking to be a Chrome browser running on Mac OS,
Got it.
right?
Okay.
But that's not the only model. There are
Yeah.
several
There's
others.
lots of
There are a lot
models.
of
Right.
models.
Right.
So some models look at user behavior. Some models look at infrastructure behavior. Some models are purely working on statistics, right? Looking at patterns of
Hmm.
transactions and volumes of transactions throughout the
So
day,
you're
the
doing
year.
behavior analysis across all
Correct.
the various
Yeah.
layers, right? I mean, all the way from the network layer, all the way kind of up to layer 7 at the
Correct.
application layer. So you're
Yeah.
looking at different behavior patterns
Behavior
across all
patterns.
those,
Yes.
and then that's what allows you. It's probably mostly all unsupervised kind of mode
Mm-hmm.
stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Learning,
Mm-hmm.
and then based on policy, then now you can start to enforce across those different layers
Absolutely.
when you see malicious
Absolutely.
or abnormal behavior.
And customers have sensitivity towards certain types of for attacks. For example, um, uh, when you're dealing with fake account creation problems, uh, enterprises don't want to block somebody from creating an account,
Right.
especially if they're a social
Yeah. Right.
network, right? It hits their KPIs and things like that. So they want to let that account get created, but have a signal sent to their either the fraud team or the accounts team to review these accounts that we think are created using bots.
Right.
So therefore, the options that we have on responding to these attacks is really powerful in our platform, which is not all attacks need to have the same solution or
Right.
need same response.
Yeah, not everything has to be blocked. Sometimes you allow it to happen, but you alert with
Correct.
additional data to say,
Right.
by the way, we think this is potentially a malicious account. You might want to
Exactly.
research it a little more,
Exactly.
decide whether you want to
Hmm.
keep that account or not.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, and you can do that across
Yeah.
various types of
Various type of
activities.
attack. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. So if somebody deploys Cequence,
Hmm.
what's some of the value they can get out of your solution?
Okay. We typically, especially when you're talking about bot defense, we are not selling vitamins. We are selling painkillers. In most cases, we see customer is already suffering from massive account takeover problems, and there are various ROI models where if you're losing one account in a financial industry, the value of or the cost of dealing with that is around between $1,000 to $1,500 per account getting compromised.
Okay.
Um, if you're dealing with, if you're a retailer and you could be dealing with the denial of inventory problem, which means you're not able to sell items to
Hmm.
your customers, right? You could be dealing with brand reputation issues where you want to sell something that is very limited in quantity, high in demand. So your real customers are not able to buy those
Mm,
things. Instead, the bots are shopping all those
right.
items. So you have a customer satisfaction, brand reputation
Right.
problem. Uh, you could be subject to scraping information from your competition, in which case you're losing IP,
Right.
right? So there are very, very, very simple, straightforward to understand ROI models that we work with our
Yeah,
customers.
I think the stat we talked about a couple months ago is what, like a third of all internet traffic is bot traffic now?
Half of the internet traffic is bot traffic and increasing, and one third of the all internet traffic is bad
Is
bots. So you
bad.
have to also account
Right.
for
Okay.
good bots,
Good bots.
which are Google assistants and
We have
various
good bots and bad
yeah,
bots.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah. So a third of all internet traffic,
is bad
malicious
bots.
bots.
Yes.
So just from deploying the bot defense solutions, you can really start to minimize
Right.
malicious bot traffic to your applications. I mean,
Absolutely.
that's a value right there.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now let's get into some of the other value, right? So I get a third of that malicious traffic out. Boom. Great.
Hmm.
Okay. Now, where's the rest of that kind of value sit? I think I know where it is. I just want to
Yeah.
hear it from you.
So a few other things to consider. Um, Bot attacks are typically, voluminous. So in the sense you have millions of transactions hitting your web application tier or application tier. If you take all of those transactions all the way to the application tier, you are over provisioning your infrastructure by a massive amount,
Hmm.
right? So there is a savings to be had on the infrastructure side by stopping these bot requests
Yep.
at the perimeter,
Yeah.
right, away from the application. So not only do you save from all the fraud related costs, but you can also save on the infrastructure,
Right.
right? When it comes to app firewall, I think that is something that is very well understood, right?
Hmm.
You're going to get a compromised application. Somebody's going to have a foot in the door inside your application tier.
Right.
You could be losing, account information, customer
Yeah. Right.
information, what have you, right?
Yep.
So that is a very, very well understood ROI
Right.
from the app firewall point of view. The bots thing is new, but it's also extremely painful for customers to suffer from.
Yeah. That's why you say it's a painkiller. It's not
It's
a
a painkiller. It's
vitamin.
not a vitamin.
Yeah. Just as long as well, you probably want them to get a little opioid addicted on the painkillers, though, because it probably helps
Yeah.
your business model a little more. But yeah, I mean, both from a malicious activity, but also performance
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
cost savings on
Yeah.
infrastructure.
Right. I mean, if you have excessive bot attacks, then it also leads to application level DDoS,
Yeah.
which is not the network level DDoS,
Right. Right.
right? And that can mean you're not just able to serve
Right.
your customers.
People can't log in.
Right.
People can't buy stuff, etc.
That's when you
Right.
make the news,
Yeah.
basically.
Right.
You
Exactly.
don't want to make the news as a
Yeah.
CISO.
Right. Exactly. If people want to learn more about Cequence, where should they go?
Simple thing, they can just go to sequence.ai and learn a lot of things. We have plenty of resources, white papers, case studies, and things like that.
Sequence with a C,
Sequence with a C.
not an S. So
Sequence.ai.
Cequence.ai.
AI. Yeah.
Ameya, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having us.
And thank you for joining us. We'll take a break and come back soon.